all met with Michael earlier in the week.
I met with Michael.
Oh,
yeah.
you might have, Michael, okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, you said it could be up to 260 feet tall?
No, I told him it could be at maximum height 230 feet.
230, I'm sorry.
If we wanted to. And so what I told him is that the way landfills work, the majority of the volume is at the bottom. Okay. I said to Michael that the maximum height that we can make this would be 230 feet.
Tall.
Now, wait, the last 40, 50, 60 feet are very inconsequential, and I've stated that if this thing proceeds, we'll probably be lower than that. But I've also got a drone to fly over the site. Yesterday, I've not gotten the footage, but I put it at intervals of 50, 100, 150, 175, 200, and 230, and to see what could be seen from that height. I literally just got the video as a thumb drive tonight right before I got here, so I hadn't had a chance to look at it. So I don't know where we're at. So that's as far as what is visible from what roads, what farms, and so I will take a look at that, and then what we'll try to do is say, hey, this is identifiable, and look at each property owner and say, hey, we're going to go talk to you. I wanted to, first of all, I just wanted to say my name's Ben Wall. First of all, I'm a Christian. I am a husband. I am a father, and I do pick up trash in Savannah. I am a conservationist. We own a lot of property around in the Geechee River watershed. I'm a farmer. I am very similar to you. We have a lot of the same views, but right now, when I met with Michael, we got along great as people, but we are obviously different in a view of what I'm trying to propose and what is being out there. We've got a perception issue that is very hard to overcome, and so I want to come here and answer your questions, listen to your concerns. And so that's what I'm here to do tonight, is I want to listen and say, hey, what are the problems? We've got smell, we've got height, we've got noise.
Trash everywhere on the side of the road.
Trash everywhere on the side.
From where it started to where it ends.
Okay, we've got property values, water, stormwater, and groundwater.
Long term.
Long term, we want to know what's going on with the site. Cost to residents. Yes, sir.
My question is this. You have no other place in Scripps County you can put this land there? Decide down?
All right, so.
Just hear me out. Just hear me out. My great grandmother raised majority of the people that's around here. She was a nanny. White, black, brown, blue, or green. It don't make no difference. That's what she did. That's what she did. My family's been around this area, right down there, where y'all supposedly want to put this land here. My family's been down there. I don't want my family to be intoxicated by this. This is what we are here for. Understand me?
Yes, sir.
I understand you got a job to do, but can't you find somewhere else to put that?
I can walk you through where we've been at with the site selection process over a long time if you'd like, and we can get to that. I don't want to take up all your time because I know that you guys have a lot of questions. I think the best thing for us to do is to hold an informational meeting that it may be 2-3 hours long, and we'll let all the information, let you really ask all the questions that you've got about all those things, and we will definitely. Can we put it some? I have looked, and
All right, I tell you what. I tell y'all what. We gonna have a million questions here, and I don't want to turn this into the Atlantic, and I don't think we need to turn it into the Atlantic Waste Management discussion. We need to organize in terms of what we're gonna do. Now we just need some facts, and then we can draw our own conclusions. But we can get but I think we need to, let them say their piece and then
All right.
via con Dios.
Okay. No, well, how about you take 5 questions and I'll answer those 5 questions and then we'll leave. Would that work better?
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
When y'all developed the landfill on,
Little Neck.
Little Neck.
Yes, sir.
It was sold after it was developed. Isn't that true to the National
It was
Waste
sold
Management?
to, my father developed that landfill in 1983. And in 1991, they were approached by Waste Management and they sold that facility to Waste Management. My father worked for Waste Management for 8 years. Didn't like working for corporate America, didn't like a lot of things that they did. They weren't very customer friendly and had a lot of profit driven, low community. Dad used to say, he went to a national meeting one time and said, y'all given y'all's second price increase in a year for the past 8 years, when y'all gonna stop? You know, because these are these people that he affected. But anyway, so yes, that's what we did.
But he did sell to them,
Yes, sir, he did.
and I recall, it was something in the neighborhood of like $100 million,
No, it was about 20.
$20 million.
Yes, sir.
All right. And the less you can pay for the land, if you sell it later, then the more profit will be on the same.
The less, just say that again.
If the less you pay for the land per acre to start off with, when you turn around to sell it, that means your profit margin would be greater.
Well, yes, if you could. Yeah,
So
the lower you buy and the higher you sell, the better off you are. That's like stocks, bonds,
Our
farm.
property is going up, our properties will go down, and you will have a full pocket.
Okay.
That is
In other words, this is all about money. That's why you coming here, because this is as far as an investment for you, whether you don't even get this, you still gonna make money on that land, and we understand that.
Yeah, this gentleman has been raising his
Yes,
hand
sir.
for a long time.
Back there.
Myself and this man right here next door neighbor, I don't see black, white, orange, purple, don't make no difference to me. I got the closest piece of land to what y'all doing. All right, the runoff from the dairy has run our creek already. It's solid green vegetation, you can walk across the creek. The water doesn't flow. I'm the 4th generation on my land. If you think the dairy's messed it up, it's nothing what y'all gonna do. Within an eighth of a mile, where y'all gonna put this at?
All right, thank you. If we got a question, we need to limit it to a few questions up there, because we got a lot to talk about ourselves.
Yeah, my name is Don McAravitz, by the way. I live here by choice, not by chance. I wasn't born here, but I love it here. Now, what type of EPA violations have you folks had in the last few years?
I've never had any. I was actually at the dairy today and somebody said that we had had an EPA violation and we have not had any EPA violations at all.
Well, what
Never been
about now, how are you connected to the plant in Virginia?
I am in no way connected to anything in Virginia.
Okay, because they have, it's the same name,
Yeah.
it's the same name, and they have 18 pages of violations.
I have no idea who they are.
I think
I'm
probably-
not, I put my hand on the Bible, I have no idea who you're talking
I
about.
think probably the question would be, what violations do they have on the Little Neck Road landfill that they
Exactly.
developed after that's been
Okay.
going on after they sold it? And he may not know that since they got rid of it.
I tell you what I do know about Little Neck. Waste Management runs a landfill that, quite frankly, I have heard from their landfill development president. His name is Tracy Schrader. He's very high up. He has told me that is the worst run landfill that they're in their entire portfolio, and they are working diligently to get it corrected. They have had numerous violations from Title V, which is air quality. And the reason that they do that and they're having such a hard time is they take the wrong type of waste in. They have a industrial plant called Chemtol, which is down in Riceboro. And then they also have International Paper, and they mix this waste together and it causes sludge and it causes a major problem with odor. And so that is the main problem. And we are not proposing to taking any of that waste, but I think that's the major reason. Waste Management has had probably 7, since I've been in the business in 2008, I believe they've had 7 different general managers at that site. They have absolutely no consistency, and they run a terrible landfill.
That's,
Can I
And he'll admit that.
yeah,
I can answer some of your questions.
from the Riverkeeper.
They've had 4 Clean Water Act violations this year. They're taking upwards of 90,000 tons of toxic coal ash annually, a lot of it coming from out of state, Florida, North Carolina. And it has become, I don't know how you guys intended the landfill, because it was supposed to be local. It is a huge regional landfill, and it's a huge thorn in my butt right now. And I don't want to see that replicated here. And
Thank you.
I'll speak more later.
Here's the thing, if the county and us, if we are successful, I mean, that's obviously a big if, we can put in restrictions on what we can and can't take, or limits on what we can and cannot take. And what that means is, like, you can only put in a certain amount of, like a certain percentage of sludge. You can only put in a certain percentage. Sludge is what causes your major odor issues in a landfill. And Steve, correct? Y'all, I want to introduce Steve Harbin. He's my landfill engineer. He's got over 40 years of experience in the landfill business, been designing landfills since 1980.
My name is Marilyn Martin. I live down on 17, and I live about maybe 2 streets away from where the proposed land site is going to be. My question and concern is, we have a lot of senior citizens in our area. Most of them are already sick, okay? My concern is the amount of smell, trash, the water. Water could be contaminated from all of the dumps that are gonna come in. Even though you say you're gonna put in restrictions, people don't follow restrictions.
Yeah,
You're
who's
gonna have
gonna
people coming
police
from
this restriction?
every county. You're gonna have people coming from every county, like they do now with the trash bins. Even though they're in certain communities, people come from everywhere just to dump trash. You have people digging in trash, throwing trash that back out on the ground. And it stays messy all the time. We don't want our community filled with paper and trash and all other debris from everybody else. We have adopted highways now that we have put in ourselves trying to keep our communities clean. If this comes to our community, what in the world do you think it's gonna look like? And our people are not getting any younger. They're gonna continue to get sick, all kinds of diseases, cancer, lung, all kinds of things are gonna come. I don't think any amount of money would be worth us giving up our health, our loved ones, to see something like that come to our community.
Amen.
I have a question, just about the restrictions that you're saying you could put in place. If and when you were to sell this company, what's to say that those restrictions will stay in place? What kind of guarantees can you give us that if you sell it 10 years down the road, that they're not gonna start accepting coal ash, or the other violations that could happen? What kind of guarantees can you give
Okay,
us?
so you have what's
Because y'all
called,
sold it to this group, that's got all these violations, the last one.
I understand. So here's what you've got. You have what's called a host fee and a host agreement. So every county has an agreement, and you put stipulations into that agreement. And in that agreement, it's essentially it is a contract. It is an enforceable contract. You must adhere to it. It talks about host fees. For instance, this facility is going to pay the county on average about $1.8 million per year in host fees. It talks about I'm going to give the county 25 tons of free disposal, which amounts to about
Are these actual numbers, or just what you're?
no, this is
just give us
actual numbers.
examples?
The government ain't never kept their word.
So, but anyway, you put that into a host fee, and then you also have fines. So not only do you have EPD fines from the state, the Screven County can impose fines. And let me tell you what we can do. You can elect a body, Noble, Damon, any of these guys, they can oversee what we're doing. We'll be an open book. They can come meet, Damon and I can come have lunch on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. You can come talk to me about if you're having a problem, which I truly don't think you will, but if you are having a problem, you have an odor violation, what we will do is they'll put it in the host fee agreement that they will fine us, okay? If we have odor complaints, then they will fine us.
And the county will get that money out of the residents that have to
We
smell
put
it.
up with the odor, they get the money.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you paid the county,
We have to live by one of the grants landfill, you come out, put that in before you start trying to put us by one of them.
My question still wasn't answered. I asked about the restrictions if and when you sell the place.
They
How can you
carry,
guarantee that another
the
company
host
will honor
fee
those?
agreement carries through the whole property. That is part of the conditional use of the property, is that the conditional use
So if you
must be
sell it,
adhered to.
who's gonna oversee it?
I,
If,
Ask a question. Do you have a Facebook account?
yes, I do.
What's your Facebook name?
It's Ben Wall.
And do you have photos of the house you live in on your Facebook?
No, I do not.
Okay, do you have a photo of the house you live in on your person right now, on your phone, that you can show everybody where you live?
No, I do
I'm
not.
just curious, and what county do you live in?
I live in Chatham County now.
Yes, and where is that?
That's in Savannah.
You live in Savannah proper?
No, it's on Wilmington Island.
On Wilmington Island. Is it a gated community?
There's no landfill there.
Yeah, there's no landfill there.
let me.
There was one, and
Well,
it's
there's
now.
not one now.
Well, there's landfills and landfills, but let me just ask you one thing.
You're gonna live very far away from your landfill.
Let me ask you one thing. If, these same arguments that you're talking about, in terms of, y'all made the same arguments to Bryan County before they turned y'all down there, right?
No, I did not.
Or,
No, we never got to. Y'all, I've learned a little bit about this. You know, this isn't my first one, and so I've learned that, hey, what we've got to do is be more focused on the community.
Do you own any real estate?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you put it on your land?
All right, so I'll answer that question. So we had the farm that he's talking about in Bryan County was 1,600 acres. We tried to put it in Bryan County, and we were unsuccessful.
And you're gonna be
know what?
unsuccessful here too.
you know what? You know
All
what?
right, then I also have a farm in Jenkins County, and it's very large. It's right at 5,000 acres. So here's I've done the math on trucking to that. I cannot be financially viable at that site. It is too
I heard
far.
Jenkins County turned you down.
No, Jenkins County. I've never applied for Jenkins County.
Oh, garbage, $5 million.
All right, I tell you what, we're gonna sit here and go back and forth, and I think they wanna have a little informational thing sometime on their dime, they can do it. Got one more question back here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
John McAfee, community member. So I would like to hear a little bit about the option to buy and what that looks like. And it's kind of a loaded question in that. What's the length of time for that? What's the purchase price? And what are the contingencies? What has to happen zoning wise or else for you guys to purchase the land? Because I think we can all agree, we don't really want the landfill here. So how can, tell us what the
All right,
options
so
are.
here's the crux of the option. So right now, I have paid $50,000 for the access of the option. Okay, that is for 6 months. Okay, to rezone it.
From what date?
That's probably a week and a half ago. Week ago.
Till what, 6 months?
To 6 months. All right, and then there's an additional $175,000 that has gone. That will go hard after 6 months. If we are unsuccessful, every month after, I pay. It goes from $30,000 to another $30,000. I have up to a year. Okay, that is it. The purchase price is for $5.4 million. Okay, and then at the very end of it, we've tried to make a little bit of trying to keep the dairy there. We want to keep the dairy there. So right now there is, if we can keep the dairy there, we will keep the dairy there. So the dairy will remain in effect. The landfill will not consume the dairy for close to 20 years. And what I mean by that is we will start at the bottom of that hill and go up towards the milking barn.
So it's gonna get bigger and bigger over 20 years?
Yeah, so what you do, to explain that, you start with an 8-acre cell, and you go 8 acres to 8 acres, and you build like Lego blocks, and then you eventually make a pyramid, and that's how that works. And then it flattens off.
It's right here, 100 acres, and it goes back.
No, it's 84 acres is the waste, is the actual landfill.
But 100 for the facility.
Well, it's.
That's what you,
Okay, so you have like, so you've got, this is an older site, but what it is you have wasteland, Steve, you can probably talk about that. That thing has roads and wells and everything else.
between 80 and 100 acres.
Yes, sir, that's fair.
Okay. I think,
This gentleman was getting caught.
You saying we're successful, you being successful is getting the commissioners to change the zoning?
Yes, that is that the commissioners will give it the conditional use. We come to a host fee agreement and that we have to adhere to those conditions, and that is part of the conditions that some of you guys will set forth. You will be part of the process. We will have more meetings to discuss all these issues that you guys have. I understand there's a lot of things about property values. We think we haven't answered that, and I'm sure we're working on some other,
Well, give us what you got right
no,
now.
we gonna do our talking, and I think they asked for a few minutes to come start off, and I don't wanna turn our whole meeting into their informational meeting. They're gonna have their own informational meeting. So I think we need to talk about what we gonna do. I think we got the rough parameters. I told them in 3 minutes to sum it up. They said they could, and it's only getting longer because we making it longer. So let's go ahead and bid them a fond farewell right now, and we'll talk to them again later.
Y'all, thank you very much for your time. I asked this, is there any way that we may be able to get in touch? Who would we need to contact? You to have an informational meeting?
Well, me or,
Yeah, I'll get with
You
Mike.
can contact me through Facebook. I have the Screven County Residents Against the Proposed Landfill.
Okay.
Feel free to contact me that way, and I can get the information
Okay.
out. Everything I get from the meeting tonight will be on there as well.
Okay.
Medical waste.
All right, thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank y'all.
Y'all, we can do that one.
Thank y'all again.